Coming up next, a special show focused on your mental and emotional health in your life and in your work. My colleague, Dr. John Delony, joins me live, and it all starts right now. I am coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, and you're joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do that, and how you can get there. It is about your purpose, and your purpose isn't really about you. It's about others. You were created to contribute. And we're going to look at your work contribution because you'll spend a large part of your life at work. And your life and your work should be connected. You should be working on purpose. And so we are here to help you figure out what that looks like. We're going to look at what you do best. That's your talent. We're going to look at what you love to do in your work. That's passion. And then we're going to look at the results of your work that fill your heart and give you tremendous meaning. That's mission. Where talent, passion, and mission intersect, that's your sweet spot. That's where you are supposed to contribute. Somebody out there needs you to show up and be the best version of you. But today is a significant day because in the United States, there will be tremendous attention put on suicide awareness and prevention, which is a growing issue and growing problem. And whether it be mental, emotional, a combination of the two, whatever the situation is, it is a hopeless situation for those people who are facing that incredible challenge. Do I continue on? Is life worth living one more day? And so we want to look at the lens of how do you stay healthy emotionally and mentally when you are struggling with mental health? How does that affect your purpose? Does it affect it at all? We want to discuss this in a very candid and safe way. And so if you want to call the program today and you are in a situation where you don't want to share your name or your location, we can change that. Madison is standing by. 844-747-2577 is the number. We'll change your name. We'll change your location because we want to be a sounding board for you. We care deeply about you. And I'm really excited to have my colleague, Dr. John Delony, with me, an actual professional in this area who is joining arms with me as a part of Ramsey Solutions. So he'll be joining us in a few minutes. And I want to put the call out. Today may be your day to reach out and get some help. 844-747-2577. That's the number. Saw a recent article from Forbes magazine that said employees are 3 times more likely to experience poor mental health in today's world. Now, 2020. It's not even funny. I don't know why I laugh, but I think all of us are kind of like, could we get done with 2020, please? Could we move on? You know, it makes me wonder if the colloquial phrase, hindsight is 2020, if we'll put that on the ash heap of history, because I think any reference to 2020 for the rest of our lives is going to be something that just brings up massive heartburn. But the reality is that this has been one of the most uncertain years in the history of the world. We have not only a pandemic that has then caused tremendous economic problems in the United States, we have some major social issues going on. So we've got a lot going on in this country. All of those major realities can create and have created tremendous uncertainty and fear. And with that, anxiety. So here's a new poll. Just came out end of July. Almost a fifth, that's 18% of employees, believe their mental health is currently poor or very poor. Now, that is compared to just 5% of employees in America felt that their mental health was poor prior to coronavirus. In addition, 42% of employed people say their stress levels are very high. The top stressors are COVID, personal finances, current events, concern about their health and their family's health, the economy, and then their job responsibilities. Now, this survey was done by Flex Jobs with the organization Mental Health America. 4 in 10 employees said they have experienced burnout during the pandemic. 37% report that they are working longer hours because of the virus. And yet, leaders, pay attention. Only 21% said they were able to have an open, productive conversation with HR or their leader about solutions to burnout. Now, you need to go to kencoleman.com. We've got an article on this, but burnout is a topic I'm very passionate about. And if you want to figure out what's causing you to feel burned out, because it's a feeling, we got to get to the source of that feeling, and it is buildup. There's 5 causes of buildup on your heart that will make you feel burned out. Burnout is not an actual thing. It's what you're feeling. You got to figure out what's causing that feeling of burnout. That's what we really want to dig in on. So that's another show, another topic, but go check the article out at kencoleman.com. Last thing. Paul Gianfrido, the president and CEO of Mental Health America, said company leadership, including executives, HR, and management, have a responsibility to their employees to model and talk openly about behaviors that reduce stress and help employees establish the appropriate boundaries when working remotely. I think that quote is important because it's not just a clarion call to leaders. It's also to those of you who work with leaders who may not be aware of what you're struggling with. You owe it to yourself to bring it up in a respectful way, not put them on the defensive, but say, here's what's going on and here's what's causing it. You've got to take your mental and emotional health in the workplace very seriously because it's not just limited to the workplace. 844-747-2577 is the number. Excited to bring on my friend, Dr. John Delony. He is the newest of the Ramsey personalities, and he's joining me here in the studio. We're so excited as an organization that John is anchoring the new Dr. John Delony Show. Just like the Ken Coleman Show and the Dave Ramsey Show, it is a caller-driven show. What are they talking about? Real talk about your relationships, your mental and emotional health challenges. Now, I know this, but if you haven't experienced John, he's such a breath of fresh air because he's got the irreverent approach, but he's going to go deep. He cares deeply for the callers. He cares deeply for the audience, and he is a professional in this area, and he joins me here now on set. John, thanks for stopping by the show and being a part of this special show today.
Hey, thanks for inviting me on. I'm really grateful, man.
So you hear those stats, and you see that, and you go, all right, what's the snapshot of all of that data? What does that say to you?
I am more worried about the current state of people's hearts and minds and spirits and what the downstream effect of this than I am of the coronavirus.
Right. How much of this do you think is due to what I'm going to call isolation of remote working? I'm not blaming remote working. I mean, I think that was a viable solution. Even Ramsey Solutions did some of that for a while.
Massive.
You think that's the big part of it?
Massive. That's a huge part of it is we are designed to be in community with other people.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. I'm a Texan who grew up surrounded with this independence, pull yourself up, you are your only you. And that's just a lie. Ken, we are designed for other people. And so we are not made for Zoom meetings. We are not made for this isolation. That's number one. Number two is we had fallen into this false lull, this idea that we control everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's caught us all off guard. We don't have a psychology for, you guys just got to stay at home because things are dangerous. You control very little in your world, right?
Interesting point. So let me make sure I heard that right, because I think you're right. So obviously a big portion of this is the lack of connection. You know, you just feel isolated. You don't have that human to human connection. Even what we used to think is just a light moment in the office in the hallway, stopping and talking.
Life. That's life.
But that's perfect.
That's it.
Right? But you're saying that it's also all the other stuff. If we look at the pandemic itself, that's the health concern. Then you got the economic fallout of the pandemic. So that's my gosh, can I even provide for my family? Livelihood concern. And then we've got some massive racial tension, and there's a lot of stuff going on there.
The politics of
so we got the politics of all of it. And we're in election year.
We realize we control very, very little.
So it's not all work related. In fact, it feels like, are you saying it's possible that external uncertainties can affect us in our emotions at the office.
I actually think it's the opposite way around. I think our internal understanding of our role in our world.
Well, yes, got it.
Right? And we've all been trained to say, if you go do this and take these classes and take up this much debt and go to this college, this is how it's going to happen for you. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we get an email that says, don't come to work anymore.
Yeah, it's the illusion of control.
That's right.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, though, is that you've got all these external things in society that create all this internal negativity and anxiety.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. It's like you can't leave all that stuff on the internet and come to the office and then it all just go away.
Well, no. And how many people sit at the office and thumb through it, right?
So that brings it up. Another point, you and I have talked about this. In fact, you and I are great case studies. Okay, I am like a moth to a flame on current events and news. You know this.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in it.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll fully admit I'm addicted to news.
And I'm the opposite, right?
You are very, very opposite. Talk about that.
So I spent many years addicted to what's next, what's coming, and this is about a decade ago for me that I had some moments in my life, both personally, my own mental health, and I was just working day in and day out in the mental health and lives of other people. When I realized what I can control is very small, and it's my thoughts and my actions, and my influence is very local. And it's in my family, it's in my local church community, it's in my local neighborhood. Yep. And so by and large, I turned the news off because it just didn't impact me. I still vote. I still want to know who my local leaders are, but my attention became very localized. Yeah. What are my relationships, interactions with people at work who see me, who I interact with every day?
I think that's very important, folks, and that's why I asked John to talk about this, because you may be more wired to where that's what you need to do. Now, I full disclosure, because I talk about this on the program. While I do pay attention to the news, I do it in very small bites. I don't spend a lot of time on it. There are parts of my day where I check in on it, but I also spend the rest of my day focusing on things that counteract any kind of negativity.
There you go.
That's absolutely true.
Yep.
I really believe in the first thought in and the last thought in.
Yeah.
The first thought of my day is very important. I guard it like it's a fortress. And then the last thought in, before I close my eyes and lay my head down on the pillow, again, I guard that. And I don't care if I'm even watching a movie with Stacy. When the movie's over, I'm not going to go to bed right away. I've got to put something really good. Think about it as it's like an appetite. And so I'm going to put good mental nutrition in my brain. And so it's really important there that, we've talked a lot about this on the show, John. I want you to kind of weigh in on this. We've talked about the neuroscience here, that what we focus on is what we act on. Right. And when I'm only consuming things that are negative and fear-based, well, I'm going to interact with the rest of the world that way.
That's right. And we've got natural systems that are designed to respond to threats and fear and annihilation, right? And we also have just a fascinating intersection in history where neuroscientists have partnered with media companies and with advertising agencies to biohack our brains. So we are constantly deluged with end time stuff, the worst case scenarios, when guys like me and you and our wives and our families are just trying to do the best they can and love each other every day, right? What you mentioned earlier about first thought in, first thought out, distills down to me one of the cornerstones of being mentally well, and that is intentionality.
That's right.
You are hyper intentional about the thoughts that go in your head. Right. You're intentional about, I've got to know what's going on in the world. That's my job. Right. But I also know that I've got to hose my boots off before I go home.
That's a great way of saying that. Hose your boots off, because it's a dirty experience getting on a news website.
It is, right? It's like our friend Mike Rowe, right? Yeah. He goes into the sewers, he does his work, but you got to bathe before you go back in your bedroom,
that's really good, dude. That's good.
And that's just you being intentional, which is remarkable.
Yeah. Well, because I can't handle it. I'm no stronger than anybody else. Nobody's got this thing hacked out. You have got to guard what goes in.
That's right.
And what stays in.
Right.
That's the other thing. So we're going to take your calls. We're going to talk through this. But John, I wanted you to give folks here on the Ken Coleman Show, give us the 2-minute background of what brings you to this point of doing the Dr. John Delony Show. So what's your background in psychology, what you've studied, and why you're so deeply passionate about mental health, emotional health, and relationships in general?
For the better part of 2 decades, I've worked in the lives of college students and their parents. I worked at multiple universities in Texas and here in Tennessee. And I've also done after-hours work with police departments with crisis work. And at the end of the day, I've spent years working with people in some of their most joyful moments. I've officiated weddings, which is beautiful. And I've also spent hours and hours and hours with folks when the wheels have fallen off in their darkest moments. I've had my own significant mental health challenges that I had to really back up and say, what happened to my brain? What's going on? What world have I created for myself? Or have I inherited, or both, that are leading me to a brain that won't go to sleep, that won't turn off, that fractured relationships that I'm not paying attention to. So all of that to say, it's brought me to this place where I've got a series of experiences and some education and this incredible platform to help folks learn to be well.
Yeah.
And as a culture, we have just outsourced every part of our lives. We've pathologized every negative, uncomfortable emotion. And moments like this, moments like coronavirus, moments like economic insecurity and political division, all of these moments brought us to this 1 second here, this one little glitch in the matrix. It says, I need to lean into that and really help folks become the hero in their own story once again.
Well, I know you have a deep, abiding passion, just like I do, to help people, and we both enjoy this one-to-one interaction.
I love it.
Via technology. And so the Dr. John Delony Show is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place for you to engage on relationships, the mental, emotional health. And so we're going to combine forces today. And I'm excited about it. You ready to go?
Like a transformer, like Voltron. Remember that?
Yeah, we're gonna team up together, and we're both excited about it. So let's get to it, shall we? 844-747-2577 is the number to jump in. Can I just make one more final plea? We're here for you. And if you've been watching this show for any amount of time, you know how passionate I am to help you. And I can tell you this guy is equally as passionate. So if you need us today just as a sounding board, please dial the number. Madison is standing by. We have a couple phone lines open. We're going to take care of you to the best of our ability, and we appreciate the trust, but you matter so deeply to us, so know that. If today's the day and you're sweaty right now and you're like, I don't know if I can do it, you can. Give us a call, 844-747-2577. All right, let's start it off with Andrea, who joins us in Tampa, Florida. Andrea, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, thank you for having me, guys.
Sure. How can we help today?
So the general question is, I've got some bit of a drama family situation at work, just trying to figure out how to best navigate it. So I don't want to give away a lot of details, just in case anyone listening knows. But generally, the idea is we have a family-owned company where the parents are, they're obviously in their retirement age, but this is sort of like their, second career, if you will. So with that said, it's just sometimes his attitude and demeanor towards a particular employee, and sometimes myself, is affecting, sometimes my daily mental and daily work life, in terms of I know it's not my job to watch out for this particular employee, and it's completely obvious, and that he's being disrespectful in his communication towards his employee, and sometimes towards me. And I've been here for probably about a year. I'm already working on switching careers, so my mind's already.
Yeah, you're already checking out. So what can so what's your specific question? How can we help today?
Yeah, just how do I navigate that until I get to the point where I'm ready to switch careers? Yeah.
So let me ask you the second part of that first, and then that will kind of allow us to give you some steps here to hang on. How long do you think it's going to take for you to transition out of this company into the work you want to do? Any idea?
I don't have an idea, and I was thinking about that myself earlier, why hadn't I done this? And I've been thinking about it for a few months, and then COVID hit. So, that's part of it, but I think the other part of it I realized myself is the fact that for me and my husband, my income is consistent income. I get, a paycheck every so much periodically, where he is a contractor, and his, income may come and go with jobs.
Yeah.
So I realized that I have this internal fear that, if I quit this job and begin something that I want to do, which also in turn has inconsistency income.
Got it.
I don't want to make that jump yet. So I feel like I'm not holding myself hostage, but I am in a way.
You are. You are, and that's okay to admit. I'm glad you admitted it, because right now you're going, I want to move on, I need to move on, but I don't know if it's the smartest move. That's what you're dealing with. And so...
Yeah, I mean, I know it is a smart move to move on, yes.
Yeah, but let's take the doubt. But let's take the doubt out of it. So what is it that you want to do? What's the dream job, or what's the thing you've been thinking about?
I think it's either between having my own physical training, personal training kind of business, and or personal tutoring.
Okay. So here's the good news about both of those businesses. You can, with the tutoring, you can start tomorrow. You could essentially, you could just say, hey, I'm doing this. And you can do that on the side. And I like that. Am. Okay, great. You already are. So every dollar you make tutoring needs to go to the make me feel better floating fund when you step away. Okay. And this is just kind of like building your confidence that, hey, wait a second, I'm building up a bit of a nest egg here. Now, this is not your emergency fund that Dave Ramsey teaches. All right. That's for emergencies, but you can create this separate floating fund if you feel like it's going to help you step out. Now, the physical training thing, you're going to have to get qualified. You're going to have to get some certification. Have you done that?
Right. I've done the study and I just haven't taken the test yet.
I think you move forward on, so you already started on the tutoring. I think you move forward on the training thing and see if we can build that up. You're going to have to choose, though, between one of those at some point. To go, I'm going to put more of my time in this side hustle than the other. And that's going to help with the transition. Now, there's one other thing I want you to do, and have John speak to the mental health piece in a second. But I want you to start going, is there another day job? If the dream job is being a physical trainer, because I think that's it. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so, definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to have to build up that clientele. So that's going to take some time. So is there another day job that you can step into that's in a much healthier environment, and it's not creating all this mental and emotional stress because of how you're being treated and how you see other people treated? If you can step effortlessly from one job to the next, and that's still the day job, then that solves this problem pretty quickly. That's the quick fix. But I'm going to have John speak to what you do if you feel like, you know what, Ken, I don't know that there's opportunities to do that, or I don't know if I want to try that approach, because that's just the deuces, I'm out approach, right? And we just leave. But if you've got to stay for a while, I want John to address that. But before he does, tell us specifically, is it just disrespect, just a kind of a nasty, biting tone with you, or is there something else that this leader or leaders are doing? I want you to define it for John. What's happening?
I would say, if I had to define it, it's a little bit of old age. It's a little bit of his physical health. It's a little bit of the dynamics, since, he has, his wife involved and his daughter involved in business as well, too. So, I mean...
So he's just Mr. Cranky Pants.
He's next to Cranky Pants, and sometimes it goes with him not feeling good, which I get that and understand that. But at the same time, there's a little bit military background in there as well, too. Right. And it just... I'm a problem solver by nature, and if I can see a solution to a problem, they're not, and I try to coach them and show them an idea, like, hey, here's the solution, and they just don't go for it. They're just not understanding what I'm saying, or they're just stuck in their ways of doing things. It's just like they have all control. There's no chain of command. I mean, it's
I get that. I get what he's doing. Yeah. I'm saying that, but it is just generally the biting, caustic tone, and it's causing you to feel a certain way. Correct? That's what's really going on.
It's just his tone, his verbal tone, and I just dread coming to work every day.
All right, John.
I don't know what kind of. Is he going to be a good mood today? Is he going to be in a bad mood today?
Right.
Or is it going to be,
I get it.
My butt per se about this.
Dr. John, weigh in here. What does she do to deal with the difficult boss?
Well, so she mentioned two things, and Andrea, I want to high five you on one of these. First one is, and then I'm going to challenge you on the second one. So the first one is, I heard an empathetic part of you that understands this guy is got challenges going on that are physical, that are experiential. He's got a training. He's a military guy. You were able to rattle off really quick. I understand. He is Mr. Cranky Pants, right? The second thing is, I hear this a lot, and I want to make sure that we draw this line here between being uncomfortable, being annoyed, and just being frustrated that my boss is not the superhero boss that they write about in Inc. magazine, versus mental health challenge, right?
I think you're on it.
And so I don't hear a quote unquote mental health challenge here. I hear an annoying boss. I hear a generation gap. I hear a frustrated, like, I don't like going to work. And so what I'll tell you is we've got generation gap. My boss, Dave Ramsey, he's older than us, right?
Yeah.
I've got my days when I'm not the best to be, like, I'm looking at folks out here who are 15, 20 years younger than me who work here.
Rachel, the writer, is outside. You were pointing at her.
And I'm sure that she goes home and says, man, that guy can be cranky generationally. He's just getting to be old
Have
now.
you ever said that John is Mr. Cranky Pants?
She's nodding yes
She
right
said
now.
no. She said no. All right.
All that to say is I think it's being able to delineate between uncomfortable, annoying, hey, it's time to move on. Let's go ahead and, like you said, Ken, you laid out a great map for Andrea to begin to lean into some things that she's passionate about and also lean into, hey, maybe she's got to go get another job.
Yeah.
But that's not mental health issues.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. You know, here's what she's dealing with. She's dealing with massive amounts of frustration.
Just frustrated.
That's turning into bitterness. Here's why. Because she wants to cuff the old guy. She just literally wants to slap him.
Or she wants to be heard. Right? She wants to be acknowledged.
That too. Well, that's all leading to the slap.
Right.
Like this is building up.
Okay.
And so all the way he's treating her and other employees, she's like, I'm getting tired of this.
Right.
And after a while, it does build up to where you're just like, and she wants to deal with it. Like the humanness in us wants to go, hey, would you stop being a jerk?
Don't talk to that guy that way. And hey,
but she
be cool.
can't. But she can't because she feels like he's going to fire, which he probably would.
Right.
So I think that's a great delineation. Well said. And you know what? I'd start looking for something now.
Today.
Day job. Let's move laterally, and let's get serious about the training. There's nothing like frustration,
Right,
to move us forward.
But can I point this out? Anxiety and what I would call run-of-the-mill traditional depression. One of the cornerstones, one of the first steps you take towards getting well, they call them little wins.
Yeah.
Just deciding today, I'm going to go look for another job.
Yeah, that's right.
That the frustration will begin to go away.
No
right?
question.
And then start applying, start looking at, then suddenly you get on the road to victory, right?
That's right. Signing up for the certification to be a physical trainer. That's a little win.
That's right.
Because your brain there's going to be a pleasure signal there. Hey, I made progress.
And you're going to be anxious, you're going to be nervous, you're going to be fired up.
That's good.
All that's good, but it's all heading towards these little wins.
I love it. 844-747-2577. Ramsey personality, my colleague, Dr. John Delony, the host of the Dr. John Delony Show, joins me as we have a special focus this hour on mental and emotional health in the workplace, in your life. We'll do it all. Heidi's up next in Lexington, Kentucky. Heidi, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, guys. Thank you for taking my call today. I appreciate it.
Sure. How can we help?
My husband and I have had our own business going for 13 years. It's survived COVID so far.
Good.
It's not doing well.
All right.
We have a violin shop, and our biggest chunk of yearly business is the back to school rentals.
Yep.
So we don't know, what's going to go on with that. Schools are in turmoil like everybody else is, but it's not something that I wanted to do to begin with. It was his dream. I just did it because I didn't know what else to do. But I am absolutely miserable in what I do, and I don't see him happy in it anymore. I mean, even after 13 years, he still thinks he has to work until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, every night.
Heidi, what happens when you talk to him about this?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What happens when you sit down and say, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
You are miserable. I know you and I love you. You're not doing well. What does he
He'll tell me, go ahead and find something else to do. But when I talk to him about what else I would like to do, he doesn't react well to it. He gets angry. And he's just one of those, though, that reacts to fear and uncertainty with anger because he doesn't know how to handle it.
So give me an example recently, the most recent case where he said, then find something else to do. And you did, and you came and told him about it and how he reacted. Tell me what that was that you found and then how he reacted.
Well, I had two options, that I have thought about for months, years even. Financial coaching or cybersecurity intrigues me daily.
Which one of those two, if I guaranteed success, cannot fail, which one of those two do you choose if I say you could only choose one?
I would go to cybersecurity.
I knew that, John. Ask me how I knew that, John.
How'd you know that, Ken?
Because you heard the tone in her voice change.
It totally
didn't you?
changed. Yeah.
Like I could literally feel the smile through the phone.
Right.
So now
I am smiling right now thinking about it.
Well, good. Now we're on to something.
I want to see him happy too, though.
Well,
I mean,
but I'm going to let John. I'm going to let John address that in a moment. But I want to address what you need to do, John. I'm saving that one for you. Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
Even though I do have an opinion.
Of course you do. Yes.
So he has given you permission, Heidi, to go find something else, and you did.
Yeah.
And then when he didn't react in a healthy way, you kind of went, oh gosh, and you let it fall by the wayside.
And I let it go.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to let it go. So now I want you to.
I don't want to.
Well, you're not going to. How about that? So here's what happens. So you're clear. That's stage 1 of my 7 stages to meaningful work. The second stage is getting qualified. Do you know what it's going to take to get qualified to get a cybersecurity job?
I don't.
Well, that's your next.
I haven't gotten to that yet.
Well, now that's your homework assignment. All right? You're going to get several homework assignments on this call. But your first homework assignment is figure out what do you need to know? That's the education question. What do you need to do? That's the experience question. How much that's going to cost? That's the economic question. And then how long this is going to take to get you qualified? That's the expectation question. Those are the 4 things that you need to find out, because here's some good news. In fact, Joe and Madison, just last week, I think I shared an article that the hottest jobs and the hottest industries in cybersecurity is one of them. So Heidi, there's a great opportunity for you here. And when you go get the answers to those questions, now you've got a plan that you can present to your husband. That's going to be a lot easier for him to swallow, John, when he sees that there's a well thought out plan that gets Heidi there. And Heidi, you also need to show him how you're going to make more money and how you're going to be happier. And that may give him some options. But I think you've got to address his fears about you doing something else by answering all of his unanswered questions. So that's what I want you to do on the what should Heidi be doing with her work life. Because here's the deal. You being miserable and he being miserable in the family business that you two are the employees is not good for your marriage.
No, I mean, I love working with my husband. I love that. And I wouldn't know what else to do. You know, he's my best friend.
Right. But you're miserable because of the work he's got you doing, because you hate it.
And it's as much, it's not just the work that I don't like. There's parts of it that, they're great. But overall, the uncertainty, the up and down. I mean, somebody burps in Washington and our business fluctuates.
Yeah, I get it. John, what do you think about the marriage dynamic here?
So Heidi, you called us. So I am assuming that I can be super honest with you. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
All right. So you made a couple of statements that I wrote down here, that your husband responds to fear and anger, right? He gets frustrated and you come in and say, hey, I'm miserable. And he says, well, then go find something else. And then you say, great, I'm going to find something else. I'm going to suggest you respond to fear and anger too. You just do it differently. And when we get scared, when we get frustrated, we get angry. And angry points us towards something that we care about. Our good friend Chip Dodd mentions anger points us to stuff that we care about. And here's the thing. Your husband, when he gets scared, he chooses busy. Busy is a drug. Busy and activity and working till late at night, that is a drug. But you know what else is a drug? Misery. Choosing to go, that is a choice that you make. And when you put an idea in front of him and say, what about cybersecurity? And he goes, you are desperate for him to pull the plug on that, because you know what that does? It lets you off the hook.
Oh, absolutely.
It keeps you from having to go and get online, find an online certification.
That's absolutely right.
For cybersecurity, which there are a million of them.
Yep.
You could be enrolled and starting by Monday. I
didn't know if I needed a degree or if it was just certifications, because I have next to zero background in computer science.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Doesn't matter. You know why you don't know? Because you're scared.
I'm absolutely terrified, because that's how I reacted to my first husband and to my mother, both of whom were extremely toxic personalities.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to tell you,
let it
Heidi,
die, let it go away. You know, it'll be better.
So in counseling, we call it leakage. And that's a gross word, but here's the deal. It will find a way out. And
absolutely.
Usually it comes out at real inopportune times. When you're trying to have a date and you end up in that weird conversation and suddenly you're in a fight that you didn't even, like, it comes out. And so you can choose to, like Ken said, tonight tell your husband, I love you and I hate to see you working so much in a job that you don't like, but I love you. And then that's it. And then he's already given you permission. Y'all talked about it as a couple. He said, if you want to find something else, go find something else. Then tomorrow, you're promising Ken Coleman, John Delony, and America, you start looking for answers.
I gave you the 4 questions, Heidi, and the reason that you're scared is because you don't have those answers yet. Because it seems like an unclimbable mountain. But I'm telling you, it's not unclimbable. Let me set you free to start your little research homework assignment. You do not have to have a college degree to get hired and to succeed in cybersecurity. So let's just go ahead and take that burden off.
That's right.
But so this is what's going on. John, you nailed it. You know, because she didn't have the answers to those questions, it's the scary mountain. And what you just tied in is beautiful in that it's been it's my husband's fault.
Right.
He's poo-pooing it, so that's why I haven't pursued it.
That's right.
She's making him the scapegoat.
It's easier that way, right?
Well, of course it is.
Couples do that. And then he's probably saying, I'm having to work so late because my wife doesn't even love this, so I'm trying to pick up her extra slack.
Yeah,
and then you find yourselves on a couch,
I would suggest
2 inches apart, but 2,000 miles away in your hearts, right?
Yeah, let me throw this at you. See what you think. I don't know this to be true, but I suspect that the reason he works so long and hard in the violin business, he works all these hours, because she said he still feels like after 13 years he's got to work 12, 14-hour days. You could hear it winding up.
Right.
Is it possible that he works that long because he's just trying to avoid confronting the fact that he's not happy?
Busyness is a drug. And listen,
there it is, folks.
Going back to our earlier conversation,
that's good.
We're not busy right now.
No.
We've been locked at home. Now, we're running around like crazy. We're on Zoom meetings. I get that.
Right.
But we have filled our lives up with, all right, my kid goes to ballet, followed by baseball, followed by I've got golf. I've got all these things. Those things have all just gone off the table.
Yeah.
And we're having to look at our spouses.
Yeah.
Look and interact with our kids in the backyard, right?
Oh,
we can't just distract ourselves. And so what I want Heidi to do, and I want everyone listening to this, find out what your drug is. What is your numbing agent?
Yeah.
And the big classic ones like drug or sex addiction, those we glorify those, but millions of us default to busyness.
Yeah.
They default to misery. My default setting is withdrawal. I pull back. I can be completely lonely, completely disconnected from my family in a crowded room.
Yeah.
And my wife will say things like, where are you?
Yeah.
I'm right here, right? I'm right here.
Right.
I'm not here, right? And so find out when you choose misery, and then I want you to lean in and choose connection.
Yeah.
When you feel yourself pulling back, go, nope, I'm plugging back in. I'm going to go hold my husband's hand. I'm going to kiss him on the forehead, his sweaty violin dust covered forehead.
Wow.
And I'm going to choose connection there.
Sweaty and vile, a very graphic forehead.
Violin.
Oh, violin. Okay,
Not
that makes
vile,
sense.
yes, sweaty
Makes
violin.
sense. I dropped the last syllable. That's
all
on
good.
me. I do want to point out something that John said that is absolutely true. The reason that busyness is a drug, John, is because busyness has become a status symbol in our Western world.
That is
Think about
exactly
it.
right.
We go to the picnics, we go to the school basketball game, and we start connecting with people we really don't even know that well. And they go, what's going on? Oh, I'm so busy. And
Yep.
it's a status symbol.
Look how
I got so much going on.
people
I can
need
barely
me.
breathe.
My job is
Right.
right.
And it's what it's become. So busy's become the status symbol because nobody wants to go, so what's going on? Not a whole lot, actually.
I'm working. Or a worse thing that we can't do? You know what else we can't do? How's work going? It's great. Like I'm in a place that I love. My boss values me. We don't get along all the
Why
time, but he
can't we
values
do
me.
that? Why can't we say that?
Because we're a culture addicted to problems.
Oh, I see.
We are addicted to negative
All right.
connotations, negative spins. We do not have a cultural vocabulary for things are going pretty
it's
well.
Very interesting. I will tell you that it took me a second to catch up to that. I think you're right. I don't like to be around people that are that way. The ones that where you say, how you doing? And you're just saying hi,
Yeah.
but they actually answer it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like you see him at church, and hey, how you doing? Well, I got a boil in the middle of my back, and looks like I got a case of gout coming on. You're like, I just wanted to say hello. I really, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Yeah.
844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. Let's go to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Annie is on the line. Annie, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, you guys. Good afternoon. How are you?
We are living the dream. What's going on?
Oh, not much.
Hey, that was good. Good for you. Annie, that was a wonderful answer.
You should not be an actress, by the way, Annie. I didn't buy that completely, but go ahead.
Yeah, right.
I'm wondering if you guys have any advice on how to not psych yourself out of getting qualified and pursuing that, because I believe I think I've got a handle on being clear in terms of the direction I want to go into, but just the path that it would take me to is just so overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
And I know I just have to get over myself, but I just don't know. I don't know how to quite do that with like all other sorts of life factors coming into me.
So you've spoken in a bunch of generalities, and what I often, people feel stressed, they feel overwhelmed, they feel anxious. It's often this, I call it the thought blender, the thoughts and feeling blenders that just kind of take over. And one of the things I encourage folks to do is to write them down and demand evidence from their feelings and thoughts. So my guess is if you're having problems, if you're having this tension with, getting qualified for a job, kind of putting yourself out there, there's some voice in your head saying, it's because you're not going to be good enough. You're not going to be successful at this. The last time you tried something, it didn't work, or you've got other stuff going on. And we have to take those thoughts, take those feelings, and really demand, is that true?
Yeah.
Right?
So what is it? So what is it, Annie? So you know what you want to do, and I think you've got a pretty good idea on the path. So what are you dealing with? Is it that you don't think you've got enough time to pull this off? You don't have enough money, or you don't have enough talent? What is it?
I think I just have ants in my pants, and I just want to get to point B already.
So it's going to take a long time, and you're going, I don't know if I've got the patience to do this.
Yeah, because it's taken me however long to get to this point.
How long is it going to take you? How long is it going to take you?
Well, first we have to get rid of this debt snowball. But
all right, let's walk this out. Let's walk it out.
Okay.
How long before you pay your debt off?
Projected for about another year and a half.
All right, so a year and a half from now, you're debt free. All right, so what is this dream? What is this thing that you're clear on that you want to do? We haven't named it yet.
Okay, it becomes real when you say it out loud, right?
I know.
Okay. I am like 90% sure I want to go into library sciences. I want to be a librarian of some sort,
Annie,
or at the very least something similar to that of a librarian. Yeah.
Annie, I want you to not qualify your statement. You know what you get to do because you live in the United States of America and you're smart and kind and wonderful? You get to decide, I want to be a librarian.
Yeah, I think you're ashamed of saying it.
Yeah, why do you have this apprehension about saying what you want to do?
I don't know. I think it's because, for all of anyone's lives, we're told, oh, you want to go into that? That doesn't make any money.
That's
or
exactly
where are you going to go with that?
That's exactly right.
And I do admit, I don't quite know what kind of growth there is for an academic librarian, but
wait a second. Wait. Do you want to be a librarian because of the growth, or do you want to be a librarian because of the actual work itself?
Definitely the work itself.
Yeah. Do you remember making fun of librarians when you were a kid?
No, because I loved them.
Exactly.
I don't want to be one of them.
But that's why I ask you the question. Because you saw a librarian when you were young as something that you admired.
A rock star,
You were like, I would love to be that. Am I right?
Yeah.
That goes way back for you. Just for fun, how old do you think you were the first time you looked at a librarian and went, I'd kind of like to be her or him?
Um,
Say it. Stop
definitely
thinking.
definitely when I was a kid,
There's something to
7
that.
or 8.
There's something to that. I've seen research, John, that they have shown that a lot of adults come back to, for their career, in their 30s and 40s, a vision, a fantasy they had when they were 9 and 10. So the data backs Annie up.
Annie, you know what? Can I tell you a secret?
Of course.
It's not really a secret. My elementary school librarian's name was Susan Creech. She helped me find books. I was a little bit of a weird reader. I liked
That's because
nerd
you're
books.
weird.
That's exactly right. But
Yeah.
as an 8-year-old, no 8-year-old wants to be weird.
Right.
Now that pays my bills. But back then it was
That's
not
right.
cool.
That's right.
She helped me find books that were special for me. I still remember her name. My kids are obsessed with their librarians because we value our public library. It's a place that my family goes and visits on a weekly basis. If you want to be a librarian because you love the work, you're going to have to be prepared to speak in the hearts and minds of young kids and adults and change their trajectories of their lives.
Yep.
This is a valuable gig.
Back to the timeline. A year and a half from now, if you don't do anything really super intense beyond what you're already doing, you're out of debt. How long is it going to take you to get qualified to be hired as a librarian? The actual qualification.
Yeah, when I started looking into it, that's when when my little fire alarms went off.
I know.
My
Answer the
alarm
question.
started with
How
my
long?
alarms.
How long is it going to take?
Assuming I get into a program, because you do need a master's degree, probably about 2 years.
Okay.
2
Do
to
you already
3
have the
years.
master's degree?
No.
All right. So we got to add that to the timeline.
Yeah.
See,
So
wait a second.
Yeah, Annie, can I speak into this kid?
Yeah. You know what's happening.
Annie,
Yeah.
has anyone ever called you Eeyore?
yeah. How'd you know?
Because you preface every sentence that means something to you with a,
Yeah.
and instead of looking at your life
Yeah.
as a series of, well, then in a year and a half, then I'm going to go do 2 years. I talk on been on the Dave Ramsey Show almost every day for the past few weeks. I hear the joy and rocket ships coming out of people's hearts for, I'm only down to a year and a half left to pay my debt off. I cannot wait to go get a job making $8 an hour at a public library while I'm getting a master's in library science that I'm going to work really hard to bankroll because I want to learn the way the library industry is turned upside down with technology. This is a decision that you're choosing to make about how you're interpreting your path coming forward.
Well, it comes down to this. It comes down to what you're focused on. John's absolutely right. You're focused on the length of the journey instead of the destination.
And the joy of the adventure.
That's all right. So here's the deal. How long will it take you to get a master's degree?
Like I said, probably about 2 years.
Okay, so that was included in your answer. So the master's degree is the 2 years. Then you're already ready. You don't have to do anything else.
I hope not.
Okay, so listen, hold on a second. Annie, that's 3.5 years from now. You're doing what you have wanted to do since you were a little girl. Do you want that?
I mean, the thing is that all of that hinges on, me getting into a program and me actually landing a job.
You will get
And on
into a
top of
program.
that,
You didn't answer my question. Annie, do you want to be a librarian like you wanted to be when you were a little girl? Or do you want to just do something else the rest of your life? And 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you look back, do you want to regret or do you want to reminisce that you actually went forward and did the thing that you really want to do? What do you want? No more qualifiers. Answer the question. What do you want?
I want to be a librarian. Dang it.
Then guess what? Yeah, so we know that, but you've got to tell yourself. You've got to say every day, Annie, I want to be a librarian. In fact, it may sound goofy, John. You probably have a better technique, but she's got to look in the mirror and for at least several days, remind herself, I want to be a librarian, and then say, why do I want to be a librarian? And remind yourself of that. You are so focused on all of the impediments and all of the challenges and all of the things that might not allow you to be a librarian instead of saying, I want to be a librarian and I'm going to be
a
one.
librarian.
Yes. And get after doing it. So here's the deal. John, if I walked out on the street with you and you and I go out on the street today and we just start asking people, hey, the dream, are you willing to do whatever it takes? If you knew you could get it, would you do what it takes? 9 out of 10. Absolutely.
Right.
But if we ask the follow-up question, well, if it takes several years, are you willing to wait as long as it takes? I think that number drops by half.
At least half, if not more.
Maybe 3 or 4 out of 10.
Yep.
And I'm not picking on Annie, but what's going on is that there is a human condition where we love progress. And when we look at a mountain that we feel like we'd love to climb, in fact, we know we'd love to climb it, but then we go, I got to train for 6 weeks. I got to climb a bunch of other mountains, get a bunch of injuries, and learn how to breathe at a certain level. And I got to do this, and I got to do this, and it's going to take me this long, and it's going to cost me this much money. I just want to be on top of the mountain.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, we start to come up with reasons why it's not so smart. And I think she's doing what the other caller was doing.
That's exactly right.
She's coming up with smart, reasonable excuses. And she let us in on one of them. And it was, well, librarian doesn't make a lot of money and there's not a ladder for growth. So I'm not sure that's the smart career. Instead of going, is that what I'm supposed to do?
That's right. I had an experience in Texas that was one of those transcendent moments for me. My wife had some friends and they were 35-ish and they were married and they said, we always wanted to be doctors. We just didn't. And suddenly we found ourselves 35, life got busy, and we always wanted to go to med school. But they were like, man, it'll be 7 years when we get out here. We'll be 42 before we get out. And you know what they told my wife? That they were talking to a marriage counselor, and the counselor said, well, here's the good news. You're going to be 42 either way. The choice you have to make is,
right.
Do you want to be a doctor or not?
That's so
when you get to be 42, right? So in 3 years, Annie, she sounded what? 28?
That's dangerous, John.
I know it is. That's why I didn't ask her.
Guessing women's ages is not good.
So I tried to guess low. So let's say 28.
Yeah.
She sounded wise and brilliant, but yeah. So let's say Annie's going to be 28. Here's the deal. In 3 years, she's going to be 31. The choice she needs to make today is, does she want to be a librarian when she's 31 or not? That's it, because she's going to be 31.
That's right.
And she can start today.
So good. What do you love most about the John Delony Show? The type of calls you're getting, the conversations you're having over there, I know are pretty intense. They're a lot of fun as well. What do you love most?
I think most people walk through their lives thinking they're the only ones struggling with whatever it happens to be. They're the only ones that think they're not a great parent. They're the only ones that think their relationship is weird. They're the only one that think that they still think about an old girlfriend from high school and they've been married for 20 years. Everybody walks through life thinking they're the only one. And so one of the things I love about this show is that people are calling, they're being real vulnerable, they're being open, and the feedback we're getting is, oh God, I thought I was the only one. Like, it's such a gift to hear somebody else is struggling with that. And I love helping people kind of cut through all of that noise in their head and in their heart and their relationships and just start to find peace and healing.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a good show, folks, and I highly endorse it. I think you saw a good sample as to the expertise and the discernment. And
we'll tell the truth. We'll tell the truth.
Yeah,
on the
you
show.
don't pull punches. I think there's a lot. You get a lot of the same, thing you're going to get here, which is John cares, but he is going to tell you the truth. He's going to lovingly shine a light on you, and the light can sometimes be a little glaring.
It takes a minute.
But we all
sometimes.
need the light.
Oh, we
and
do.
Man, I really, really, really love having you on here.
What a gift! Thanks for letting me join you.
Yeah, before we let you go, ask John at RamseySolutions.com. That's the email address. Ask John at RamseySolutions.com. So you email and you say, hey, I want to be on the show. They'll set it up. The phone number, I don't know if we can throw that on the screen or not. If we can't, don't worry about it. 844-693-3291. That's 844-693-3291. So go follow him. Your website is?
JohnDelony.com.
JohnDelony.com. That's DELONY, JohnDelony.com. So connect with John, and we're going to have you back.
This has been a gift. I appreciate you.
If you'll come back. I guess I should see if you want to come back first.
All day, every day. I love it.
Well, good stuff. Well, folks, my time is almost up. But before I let you go, I want you to know that you matter and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining me and John. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.